And see, I want to balance this out. I want to balance this out. Even in the Bible, they drank wine. Even in the Bible, they drank wine. So that's alcohol. Last time I checked. The reason I extended that offer was because he was like me. He was puking his guts out. He would black out. He won't remember what he was wearing the next day. And my thing is that kind of drunkenness is against the truth. And so I extended it. And I don't know if it's going to last after 6 months. I hope it does. But in the case that he does take a drink at an upcoming wedding, I'm just hoping it doesn't result in a blackout. But see, everybody has their own vice. Everybody has that one thing that you have to go without. All because you want to please people around you. Isn't it that at times we have to put up a front in order to please people? How many people here know what I'm talking about? You have to be somebody else. You have to put up a front. Again, in John 5:41-44, it says, "Your approval means nothing to me because I know you don't have God's love. For I have come to you in my Father's name, and you have rejected me. Yet if others come in their own name, you gladly welcome them. No wonder you can't believe, for you gladly honor each other, and you don't care about the honor that comes from the one who alone." In the Amplified Version, it says, "I receive not glory from man. I crave no human honor. I look for no mortal fame." How many want mortal fame? Right now I'm thinking about Daniel's friend. Daniel's 3 friends. Daniel 3 is saying, when you hear the sound, this is what from King Nebuchadnezzar. He says, when you hear the sound of them, the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipe, and all kinds of music, if you're ready to fall down and worship the image I made, very good. But if you do not worship it, you will be thrown into a blazing fire. Then what God will be able to rescue you from my hand? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied, "King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you. If we are thrown into the blazing fire, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it. And even if he doesn't, we still will not bow down or serve your gods or worship the image of gold." Friends, happiness doesn't come from anyone's approval. It comes from the Lord. Refuse to conform or compromise. Daniel's friends chose character over compromise. Daniel's friends were more concerned about their character than their reputation. You see, character is who you are. Reputation is who people think you are. And what's more important is your character, the person you are. Real happiness comes from knowing who you are in Christ. The solution here, the antidote here is focusing on who God made you to be, not what others want you to be. And the real question is, who are you in Christ? If you're really in Christ, you don't need people's approval to be happy because your joy comes from His salvation. Knowing that you have Christ is blessed enough. Apostle Paul writes in his letters in Galatians, "Am I now trying to win the approval of men or God? Or am I trying to please men? If I were still trying to please men, I would not be a servant of Christ." This is basically saying you cannot, will not, would not be able to focus on who God made you to be and serve Him wholeheartedly if you are still focused on pleasing others. Find your place in the body and go after it. And lastly, the truth about people-pleasing trap. Your efforts are wasted on temporary issues. The truth is, seasons are always changing and people are always coming and going. If that wasn't true, we would need a different building. We would be about 300 or 400 in a temple. But people are always coming and going. The family and friends that are true will not try to coerce you into sin or living away from God. Rick Warren stated that the things that we think are important God really doesn't. And the things we don't think are important are the most important to God. See, the people and friends we try to please for the most part, a lot or a majority of them will not be with you 10, 20, 30 years down the line. And yet we give them the most attention. 1 John 2 says, the world and its desires pass away, but the man who does the will of God lives forever. I don't know about you guys, but I want to live forever. I don't want to pass away. But the pressure sometimes gets so hard. We have to act in the now because we are living in the now. But really, we should be thinking in the later. Everybody knows about Samson. In the book of Judges, it says how when Delilah was getting the secret out, it says, how can you say, I love you, when you don't confide in me? This is the third time I've asked you, and you've made a fool of me and haven't told me your secret. With such nagging, she prodded him day after day until he was tired to death. And that's the truth. People are gonna want their pleasure to happen with your help to the point where you're sick to death, like Samson. The world will paint you into the corner to get their way, to the point where you're just going to give up and cave in. And you can't compromise. You cannot care about what people think if it's bad for your spiritual life. Things that matter now might not matter in a month, a year, or 10 years from now. Peer pressure is at a rise. Don't cave. Don't cave, young people. Peer pressure is always happening, regardless of where you are. And it's all because people's plans want to be into action. Have sex with me or I will not be your boyfriend. Don't give respect to this person or else. I need you to do this even if your beliefs go against it. Just as well. We all know what happened when Samson cut his hair. His strength was gone. You're going to be spiritually weakened when you cave into the demands of people that are not pleasing to you. So what we should do instead is focus on the eternal accountability you face. Each of us will give an account of himself to God. What did you do with the life and resources I gave you? Did you give me glory or did you focus on others? In Romans 12:2, we just finished the Transform series not too long ago, and in the easy-to-read version it says, don't change yourselves to be like the people of this world, but let God change you inside with a new way of thinking. Then you will be able to understand and accept what God wants for you. You will know what is good and pleasing to Him and what is perfect. Friends, this is a dress rehearsal for everyone. So whenever you go to a dress rehearsal, you want it done right. It's the practice for our heavenly life. We only have this earth that will pass away, but we'll always have heaven. And I'll end with this. All the events that led to Jesus' arrest and crucifixion were ways people failed. Were ways people failed God because of people pleasing. And I don't want to lead you to think that the crucifixion would not have happened if these people were not about people pleasing. The crucifixion was going to happen regardless. It was Jesus' destiny. But the way it happened and how the people failed is what I'm emphasizing here. You see, Peter, he denied Christ 3 times. On his third one, before the rooster crowed, he said, "A curse on me if I lie here. I do not know that man." He said this so that he doesn't disappoint the proud. Curse on me if I'm lying, I don't know that man. And you might not necessarily be using these same exact words, but your actions are saying it for you. Pontius Pilate, even himself, not finding any fault to charge Christ, he said this: if he's the one you want to crucify, then go ahead. I wash my hands clean. He had the power to tell the crowd, I find nothing wrong with this man. Why are we crucifying him? He even asked Jesus, so are you going to convince me not to crucify you? I have the power. And Jesus said, you only think you have the power. The one that really is making this happen is the one who sent me. Friends, it's okay to love on people. It's okay to love people in the church, outside of church, in your household, outside of your household. But if it leads you to sin, or if they become bigger than your God, we have to look at a different perspective. We have to take on a different perspective that only pleases the one who sent each and every single person here. Who are we satisfying? Who are we pleasing? Who and what are we making far bigger than our God? Family, we need to bring back focus in the church. And I get it. I know we all still have careers to tend to, family to satisfy, friends to accept us, and even ministry to fulfill. But if it's all to please others over the will of the Father, it's all in vain. We never want to do a single thing in kingdom building that's in vain. Jesus said this in John 4:34. My nourishment comes from finishing the will of the Father. My food, said Jesus, is to do the will of Him who sent me, to finish His work. In other translations, my nourishment. If you want to translate that into a practical sense, my happiness, my joy, my acceptance, my approval, my belonging, my sense of love comes when I finish the work that the one who sent me brought me to. And I just want to challenge us. That this week it's going to be June. It's going to be 6 months into the year. And we have the rest of 2015 to see who really is on top of our life. Is it the Lord's will, or is it pleasing people so I feel loved, I feel accepted? My friends, if there's a change in your mind that needs to happen, allow the Lord in. Allow the Lord in. People are going to get disappointed. People are going to hate on you. And it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck for a season. But the Lord's going to show you why. And you're just going to be in awe of the things He shows you. I never thought to be a pastor. I never thought of speaking up here on a Sunday. But the Lord has shown me so much grace, showed me so much of His sovereignty, showed me just how big He is when I give up. But it took a lot of me dying, trying to please every single person. And I want that just to be a challenge to us today. Focus on the will of the Father. And He will not let you go. He will always be with you. So friends, I leave that with you, and I hope God is always blessing you.